Okay, I believe we can start. So, as I say, welcome everybody for our newest webinar on the B2B commerce topic, Reach the Unreachable. This webinar is a collaboration between Intershop and Tacton. My name is Mauro Boffardi and I'm country manager for Italy and Nordics for Intershop. And with me, I have Per Rodin. Hello.
Hello.
From Tacton. Would you like to introduce yourself, Per, a bit?
I work at product marketing at Tacton. I've been with Tacton for 5 years now.
Okay, then. First of all, a very quick introduction to who we are, apart from person, who Intershop and Tacton are. Intershop is a German company, Intershop Communication, that empowers B2B application that have the goal to make digital purchase frictionless, very personalized, and through any device that the customer is connecting from. The company has a global footprint, as I said, mainly German, but we have offices in the US and the Asia Pacific. We have been qualified as leader in the Forrester Wave for B2B, and we have the best B2B functions of all comparable platform, according to Forrester. We are an independent software vendor. That means that we do not belong to big software mega organization. We have one company, 350 people entirely dedicated to B2B commerce. We have about 350 customers worldwide, selected and very matching customer, and we want to be close to each of them. We will soon have 29 years of experience. The company was founded in '92, and it was the first standard e-commerce platform. And through our system yearly, we have 105 billion running through our commerce platform.
And for those of you who don't know Tacton, we are co-headquartered in Stockholm and Chicago. We have approximately 225 co-workers. We have a great partner network helping us to empower anyone to configure, price, and quote highly customizable manufacturing products. And we are particularly proud to be mentioned as a visionary in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for CPQ application suites in both 2019 and 2020, by the way. So before Mauro jumps into a more hands-on example of how Tacton and Intershop collaborate, let me just briefly sketch out some of the challenges that is involved in the digital transformation regarding specifically for manufacturing. So when we talk about complex industrial equipment, these are the kinds of products that we refer to. These are high value products, often very complex, maybe thousands of parts combined in different ways. They're highly customizable in terms of both features and options, but also in terms of parts and modules and so forth, as well as in terms of sizing. These machines typically needs to be installed somewhere with the constraints in terms of spatial and rooms and things like this. They're also involved, oftentimes there is a complex supply chain behind these in order to produce these. And oftentimes they're also integrated with other equipment on site, often competitors' machinery. So there are often system integrators involved in the sales process of these products. They are oftentimes also sold not only as the capital equipment, but there are lots of solution and services around these to make them valuable to the customer, including installation, maintenance, breakdown support, training, monitoring, financials. So there are lots of things around the machine that is also part of the solution. So what are the key challenges in terms of digital transformation for these kind of companies, for these kind of organizations? Well, first of all, on a fierce global market, you need to individualize the products, as we said. We need to have there needs to be a high product variance in order to increase the win rates of these products. So you need to be able to customize the products heavily. You also have a more decentralized value chains, not only in sales, where you have partners and resellers, but also in the product development process, and as well in the with the assets. You have often system partners involved around the equipment that also want to monetize the customer in different ways. So you need to find your niche here. Customers are also more and more focusing on value and outcome-based economy. So they require, they're buying oftentimes not only the equipment, but actually they want to see the outcome of that equipment. And we have seen several trends lately going from equipment to product as a service kind of sales. One example is Michelin, who's now offering truck tires as a service rather than the tires themselves. Of course, IoT and the product connectivity is important not only in the production facilities, but also on the asset side, where you collect different users' data in order to maintain the machine better, provide better uptimes, but also to collect data about how the equipment is being used to actually ensure that the value that you promise to the customer is actually being delivered. And then finally, we have evolving customer expectations, where B2C kind of consumer buying journeys is now spilling over into the B2B domain, where customers expect everything now, everything first time right solutions, and also that the time to value from purchase to value is shortening all the time. So focusing on the customer much more than before. And in that customer buying journey, customers typically ask a lot of questions around values, how the features map to their business requirements, total cost of ownership, market compliance rules, how to install and commission, how to maintain and service, and so forth. So there are a number of complex questions, inquiries here from the customers that the sales rep on the field needs to be able to answer quickly and responsibly. And many of the customers that come to us at Tacton have problems with this. That is, many of these inquiries that oftentimes maybe are in the hundreds of each customer buying journey, actually they rely on back office functions and sales engineering to be able to respond to those. So for every change that the customer inquires about or price recalculation, the sales rep has difficulties answering those questions upfront to the customer, but needs to refer to the sales engineer all the time. And with manual handovers and unstructured communication, both between customer and sales rep, but also between sales rep and sales engineer, this creates a lot of pain points for our customers that comes to us. Typically, of course, they have high sales cost and slow response times due to these handovers and slow communication, but also the orders or the order quality and the quote accuracy is low because it's unstructured and it's manual in nature, which means that the orders that you do take actually have errors all the way, creating more costs than necessary in the order fulfillment phase. Also, many quotes don't become orders, so the win rates become low because the product fit may be not ideal. And if you have a high sales cost, if the sales cost is substantial, of course you will lose a lot of revenue in those quotes that don't materialize into orders. If you also have problems with errors, with order errors, you also tend to lose margin in the order fulfillment. So if you don't have a good connection between the supply chain and the quote promises that you make in the sales process, you tend to lose that margin that you think that you secured at the time of quoting, all through the order fulfillment. And that can be a supply chain that doesn't can respond to the quote promises that you've made, or that the customer changes his mind during the process. And then you have lost revenue due to slow time to volume. If the sales process is manual and unstructured, sales rep do tend to copy quotes they have won in the past, meaning that they keep on selling legacy products. So even though your R&D department actually sends out a lot of new features and functionalities and options and parts, that doesn't reach the market because the sales process and the quote process is manual in nature, and thereby you lose revenue due to new product introductions. So what Tacton offers, and also of course we have sales channel panes, direct sale, partner, and self-service. All three have pros and cons and benefits. But if you have a product portfolio with complex products, and if you don't have a data-driven configuration and configure-to-order process, it's too cumbersome or too error-prone for customers or partners to actually define and select those complex products. At the same time, selling easy selection products like spare parts and accessories is too expensive. They're too high costs for letting those products being sold by direct sales. So you have an unbalanced portfolio and go to market here for your different sales channels. So what Tacton offers is a way from customers to move away from engineer to order processes to configure to order processes. And we do that by enabling, we have a smart product definition tools. We, instead of having rules that matches different parts of the product, we use attribute constraints to describe millions of valid product variants that could be offered to the customer. Those constraints typically involve properties on modules or parts, and instead of defining rules that matches product parts variants with another, we use the definitions, the properties of those parts and modules to define which goes together in a modularized product architecture. That includes not only technical components or the product architecture, but also parameters from order fulfillment and the supply chain. So ensuring that the product variants that you offer in the front end actually can be fulfilled and created by your factories and your installation projects. Of course, we can also add compliance parameters into that, ensuring that the market regulatory rules are being followed for the customer that the quote is being offered to. We can also connect needs with product variants, connecting the business value with the technical solution, and we define the price rules as well in that product definition. Then we offer an easy configuration interface, focusing on the customer and the customer's easiness. Instead of having difficult to understand questions about features and components, we employ needs-based configuration, allowing you to define what the equipment should be used for rather than the technical aspects of it. We have visuals accompanying a visualization accompanying every product selection. We ensure that it's error-free. We have a validation that ensures that the integrity of the product is always kept in sync all through after every configuration selection in the configurator. And of course, instant pricing and instant quotes are a part of that offering as well. So you immediately see the effects on the price for every selection. We can optimize on purchasing drivers. So for instance, if If a customer needs to optimize on uptime or total cost of ownership or eco-friendliness or sturdiness, for instance, we can introduce that optimization parameters into the product definition, providing the best chance of winning the deal depending on the purchasing driver of the customer. And then finally, we automatically, of course, generate the order materials into the ERP, including bill of materials, CAD files, drawing, cost and margin calculations, all the things required in the ERP. So we provide that one source of truth downstream in the order fulfillment process. And just to give you a flavor, here is a interface of our configurator. This is a truck being configured. And as you can see on the left-hand side here, you don't define wheel components or engines. You could do that, of course. But here we see an example of needs-based configuration where you define the topography and the traffic conditions, and then the configurator will translate those into an optimal technical solution for the customer, including then the prices that you see there on the right-hand side. So this was a bit about Tacton and the challenges. Mauro, now let's see what we can do together.
Yeah, so we're gonna very quick run through all the possibility and options that the introduction of CPQ and Tacton specifically can bring to your sales force, to your sales reps, and I give for granted that everyone here knows what are the usual B2C, B2B web shop paradigm, like browsing a catalog and purchasing products. So apparently we have this discrepancy. For the online, it will be very, very difficult. Well, one can assume that it will be very difficult to buy those complicated products or online. This is something that has to do with the sales rep. Well, we, as Intershop and Tacton, sit together and decided to build together a solution that is greater than the sum of its parts. So we will take the best of the self-service experience, we will take the best of the sale functions for CPQ to determine the right offering for your customers, and we build together a journey that will actually increase exponentially the reach out of those two different tools. So let's have a look at how this would look like in practice, and follow me in the telling of this story. We have a possible customer. Let's start with the characters. We have Lisa Brown, that's a property manager of the Chicago Waterfront Hotel. And Chicago Waterfront Hotel is undergoing a modernization, and they need to build a new lobby. As a part of that, they need to buy a new elevator. Lisa has as a team of architect and engineer that helps her with the project. Amongst them, there is John Smith, that is an engineer, a construction engineer. They both start looking for the new lobby elevator. They expect this process to be several weeks long, right? They never bought an elevator before. So Lisa starts doing some research in the way that most of the buyers do today. So she starts a research on the web. She started Googling different elevators, thinking for brands and so on. And the majority of the information that she can find is only general description and brochures. They tell why the elevator of some brands are better or not, of all possible technical details, but to get a price, please contact one of the sales rep. And there is very little guidance. So what kind of solution is the right one for the Waterfront Hotel. There is one vendor, anyhow, that is slightly different, and this vendor is Parker Lifts. Parker Lifts has a different approach. It doesn't start with selling all the catalogs and displaying all the different details, but allows Lisa to start a configuration. And this configuration is available for anonymous customers. So when Lisa lands on the page, she sees a very clear text. Okay, you are new here. Let's start and see what we can do for you. A configurator window opens on the website, and in this elevator configurator, Lisa and John are surprised to find questions that are related to the functionality and the value of the elevator, and not technical questions. So the Parker lift asks how many people would you need to transport, how many floors. It's not what is the pressure that you want on your hydraulic pump, or how many kilowatt hours the engine should consume. Those are questions that they can understand, and the configurator translates that into a correct technical solution. So let's say, as a first request, Lisa pick up the country of installation, USA in this case, and this will ensure that any other choice from then on will be compliant with the standard and regulation for that market. So regardless of what they will do in the future, as long as they don't change the country, they are sure that the solution is error proof. That choice may also affect the different type of choices that are available to select, right? So depending on the regulation, what components are allowed, dimensions, power, security, whatever, the configuration adjusts themselves. And this is true for any other choice they will do. If there is a conflicting section, or selection, sorry, then the configurator informs them and say, oh, you wanted to have this component, but you cannot have it if you want to move 6 people. So which of the two you will do it? This makes them very confident, that make Lisa and John very confident whatever they are doing is still valid and functional for them. More important for us is that whatever choice they made, Parker Lift is sure that what Lisa and John are seeing is will be delivered and will be built by them or by their suppliers. So they are sure there are no promising anything that they cannot keep. Then for every selection, Lisa can also see the elevator in a 3D visualization, and it will make very easy to map each change to the effect that it will have on the complete model. So we can see, for instance, here, Lisa can browse, select the type of walls that she likes in the elevator, apply them, and the 3D model is adapted in real time. In this case, Waterfront Hotel has a lot of people on wheelchair coming in, and Lisa is very happy to find that she can drag and drop already in the 3D visualization. The control panel see that there is an accessible option for that elevator. Taking the 3D visualization to even the next level, Lisa and John can scan the QR code and place the elevator right in the lobby of the hotel. So they are sure that what they are seeing fits, that is aesthetically nice, and they can have a clear idea of how the elevator would look like in the new lobby. At any point when doing this job, Lisa can copy the current version of the configurator with this link and share it with other team members and stakeholders. It's just a link, and she can use it everywhere, and they can explore together the configuration, restart from the last point in the meetings, and work with her colleagues. And with that tool, Lisa is very confident because she is able to mitigate the requirements coming from different parts, as well as budget constraint within their organization. Note that so far, Lisa has never met a resistance in the definition of her requisites. She never logged in, she never registered, she never had to save, bookmark, or install a special app to access the configurator itself, and nothing at all. So when the requisites are defined, and make note, Parker Lift has a heavy influence on the definition of those requisites, because Lisa Brown used the Parker Lift configurator, so she's aware of Parker Lift options and products. So it somehow her choice is already skewed through Parker Lifts, but they decide to send RFQ to different suppliers. And now, after all this definition, Lisa would like to have an idea of the cost. So she's ready to engage for a sale. So Lisa is presented with 3 different ways to engage Parker Lifts. Those are the same that Per mentioned before. Direct sales, it's the usual, please contact, you will be contacted by one of our sales rep, and is suitable and unsubstitutable, necessary for dealing very large and complicated deals, right, with multiple elevators or location. And from this on, the offer will be transferred to a sales rep, with the great advantage that the sales rep will not start from scratch, but is able to start with a specific configuration that is valid. That is a very nice idea of what Lisa Brown, even before start talking to her. Another way is to contact a reseller, and the only difference in that case is that the reseller is able to be available on the territory. She's a local presence. So this is the good advantage when this is required. But since so far, Lisa has been very impressed by the functionality offered to her by Parker Lift site, then she decided to go on with the self-service channel. So Lisa signs up the waterfront hotel, creates the account with the usual procedures, and then is able to log in. When Lisa logs in for the first time, she sees that she has still the connection of the configuration that she started, and this time is she can find it together with a draft of a quote request detail, of a quote request. So Lisa recognized all the selections she did before, but note that this time she has available the price or the budgetary estimate for her quote. All the prices are executed based on the market and segment where Chicago Waterfront Hotel belongs to when it was registered. But also, if during the registration and the onboarding, Lisa was able to negotiate special terms and conditions or special prices, those are already immediately available at this stage. And any time Lisa changed something or change again the model, those prices recalculated and reflected in real time. So she can track the effect of her choice on the price. But not only the total price, Lisa can see a breakdown of the prices for the bill of material. So that includes both one-time equipment costs, like installation or setup fees or whatever, as well as a subscription-based, like support and maintenance fee that are recommended together with the elevator. And since the configuration also contain question about the waterfront hotel current shaft and elevator, the prices includes not only equipment costs, but also costs estimate for removal, installation, and commissioning. So those are still can be also be part of the model for calculating the sale price. But that's not all. Since the configuration contains questions about the expected operating cost of the elevator, for instance, electricity cost, and all the consumption is already built into the model depending on the option that was selected. Tacton is capable of calculating the total cost of ownership of the elevator during its complete lifetime of waterfront. So it will include purchase, installation, and operation cost. So being able to see the total cost of ownership for a month or per passenger ride is a great way for Lisa and her team to determine the return of investment and see what they can save and where they can spend. Lisa can, of course, browse the rest of ParkerLift's catalog in a normal search, browse category and paradigm. And so she can add also not configurable products or catalog products to the quote request. So, for instance, in this case, she wants a set of spare lamps to be brought that. And that's the add to quote request button that is in lieu of the normal add to cart that is standard in B2B. So in this case, we can see the quote request that is consisting of both catalog products, the lamp and the elevator as Lisa configured them. So Lisa can change quantities, she can add more lines or whatever, but at any point she can download the budgetary estimates document that covers the content of the quote request. That means that when she clicks on the button, a document is generated for her, and this document contains any of the data that is in the configuration selections, all their outcomes, and also a detailed pricing and TCO prospect and calculation. And of course, this model is generated on the fly, but it can include any type of content. So it can include testimonials, tech specs, marketing material, anything that is needed or desirable to make the offer compelling and engaging and well produced. So any branding also is applicable as well. So she will have a very specific brochure for her, for that elevator, for that solution, containing all the information that are needed. So that's, of course, very interesting for her. So Lisa and team are really impressed by the level of customization they got, the turnaround, because she didn't have to wait any interaction with ParkerLift so far. She never engaged a sales rep. She didn't wait for opening hours. She didn't have office hours. She did it online in the time wherever she wants. She did it from the mobile phone, started there and followed with the iPad in the hall, and then continued in the desktop of her office. Everything is extremely seamless for her. So yeah, given the experience, they're quite confident to select ParkerLift as their final vendor. So she says, okay, that's the budgetary estimate. It was nice. The budget is correct. Now I want to negotiate all the commercial and legal aspects to sign and to close the deal. And here comes up front Patrick Morris. Patrick Morris is a sales rep of ParkerLift. He mainly works with the direct sales, so engaging customer, asking their needs and designing solution, but he is also able to reply to the request that comes through the self-service channel. So the usual tool for Patrick to work with is a CRM, where all the customer data is stored, all the opportunities are registered, and all the campaigns and classification are managed by ParkerLift. And this CRM is integrated with the Tacton CPQ. So what you are seeing is the Tacton CPQ application, and Patrick can start, solution, configure, price, and quote all the direct sales opportunity. But also, Patrick can monitor what's happening on the website, on an Intershop customer portal, and he can also decide if assistance is required. So here, for instance, he can see that someone, that Lisa, actually not someone, at the Chicago Waterfront Hotel started a configuration and can see what Lisa has chosen, what they are looking for, what kind of budget they are aiming to, even before she has decided to submit the quote request to ParkerLift. So she's only registered, she's doing her selection, and Patrick is able to see all of this without need for Lisa to engage. So Patrick has in any time the option to jump in, see if there are some loose configuration or if Lisa has a problem, and intervene directly. But let's back to Lisa. She is happy with the starting point, with the budgetary estimate, so she decided to submit the quote requests. When she submits quote, the quote become read-only and is waiting to be evaluated by a sales rep. Lisa can see at any time all the detail, all the selection she has done, and she can monitor the status of the quote request in her customer page. In Patrick's system, in Tacton, Lisa requests ends up into the inbox of Patrick in the firm proposal request. Patrick accepts the request and converts into a sales opportunity and a solution in Tacton CPQ. In Tacton CPQ, that will be like an hour talk what Patrick can do, but Per gave an idea before. The solution mirror exactly the content of Lisa's quote created in the e-commerce, but it also have additional information that are available only to Parker Lift employee, for instance, margin calculations or risk factors or whatever Parker Lift does not want to disclose publicly. So Patrick now drives the deal. He can make modification. He can make suggestions. So he can reconfigure and validate the elevator. He can see the detailed price execution and give additional discount to be sure to win the deal. He can monitor the margin, the overall margin of the offer. And if Patrick needs to go beyond the approved margin levels, he can at any time escalate the deal to his sales manager for guidance as approval. That means that, okay, look, I need an extra margin on this offer. I really want to have Chicago Waterfront Hotel. He can submit the quote to his supervisor, and with a click, and the supervisor in the inbox sees the request, can check all the offer or the firm proposal, and then accept or deny the negotiation request that Patrick is submitting. Also, if the customer needs something that is not possible to express with a finite price in the configuration, so let's say Lisa wants a special material for the floor of the elevator, Patrick can escalate this engineer to request order to the sales engineering with the same authorization workflow, and the team can resolve the issue and apply a price. But the fact that at the moment of selection, Lisa is not allowed to make anything wrong makes this an exceptional case and not a 200 case average scenario that Per mentioned before. Patrick also can fix all the items related to the offer, including shipping, payment details, and all the conditions. With a click of a button, Patrick can generate CAD files and drawing of the elevator and share them to the customer. That speeds the conversion process dramatically, avoids any misunderstanding, and kickstarts the production and the installation projects. And Lisa can include this CAD drawing into whatever project she's managing to, and she can be really sure that the elevator will fit and will be compatible with what other suppliers she engaged are delivering. Finally, Patrick can create a firm quote, including all necessary documentation. Again, it's a document specific for her with all the information, all templates, customer material, marketing material. And when he's ready to share with the customer, he just send the offer to the next stage. In the e-commerce, on the other side, Lisa can see the original request she submitted, and she can see the contact details of the sales rep assigned to her. So she knows who is looking at the offer. She has maybe a collaboration area to resolve the issues along the way, questions, dubs, or discussion, optimization. She can follow the progress of Patrick's with the firm quote, of course, for the things that Parker Leaf decides to disclose. And when Patrick published the final version, when he has a final version, that version is available to review, including all the accompanying documentation. So here we have all the different documents, the quotes, the material, the CAD drawings, and so on. Lisa can download this material and sync with the project team before giving any feedback. And Patrick is also able to create different revision of this firm quote. That means that since the creation of those different version is extremely cheap and fast for Patrick, he can produce two solutions, maybe a normal one and an optimized one, or one optimized for performance and one optimized for price, or he can produce different revision given the feedback that Lisa gives to him. So after a couple of iterations, Lisa is really happy with the offer, and she's ready. She's ready to accept it. Since everything is defined, so in the offer itself, there is no need to select payment or shipping condition, anything. Lisa finds an order that is already pre-compiled, and she cannot change it because all the conditions are defined into the quote that she's going to accept. So she has only to submit the request of purchase. Note that since Intershop provides authorization workflow, if Chicago Waterfront Hotel decides that Lisa purchases need to be authorized by a supervisor, then the order is submitted, but is not reaching Parker Lifts, is reaching the supervisor, that he can see the value, he can check the content, he can check the budgets that Lisa is supposed to work with, and decide to approve or reject the offer. But in that case, it was such a great offer that they decided to go on, and the order is sent to the ERP for production. The quote, of course, becomes read-only, but it will not disappear, and all data is available to be consulted at any time. That means that Lisa can see what she chose initially, what Patrick adapted, what other versions are coming, all the discussions she makes. That will be forever available to her. And the state of the order is updated via the integration with the ERP. So in the order history, she can see what is happening at the moment to the elevator she purchased. Depending, of course, on the process and the ERP integration, on the order detail page, Lisa can eventually monitor the fulfillment, as I said, but line by line. She can cancel the order depending on the contract and the status of the production, of course. She can submit a return, she can file a complaint, and she can make even a reorder. In the elevator case, it's a bit odd, but let's say that we have a twin hall, they can buy the very same elevator twice. And we're almost to the end. That's not the end of the story, because after installation and commissioning of the elevator, now it's John's task to keep this working and operating. So usually the sale journey ends here, and then somehow Parker Lift is given to the after sales division. In this case, the experience of Lisa and John is seamless. It continues straight away. So John acts as a user in the customer portal. He can access the details of every elevator that's been purchased from Parker Lifts within the Intershop customer portal. John can see all the information that are important for him, apart from documentation, KPIs, budget, specific assortment, training videos. Everything is available for him. And he can see the contact details that are specific for him, so the name of the sale, the name of the technician, and he can do all of those things. On the detail of the actual elevator, thanks to the equipment sensor in the elevator, he can track the operation, and the performance of the elevator. So you can see how it's working, how many trips it's doing, how much it's consuming, and thanks to this data, he is able to buy, or is being proactively sold or proposed to get consumables, to get spare parts, accessories, and so on. John, in case of breakdown, is able to go online, see that the elevator is off, maybe get a notification on this PWA on the mobile phone saying, your elevator is now out of service, and he can go on the portal and he can straight away book a time with the technician to come and solve the problem. Also, since he has access to the bill of material and so on, and if the elevator is smart enough, he can browse all the parts and he can see which parts are defective, and he can purchase them right away. And he can do it either in the bill of material, in the part list, or even interactive via interactive CAD drawings and selecting the part straight from the drawing and not from the list. And of course, all prices are into the normal, into the negotiated condition for parker lifts. So it was quite a journey, but we have seen here that this journey brings together the whole customer life cycle. So the travel started with the needs. They have an elevator, they check content, they know that Parkerlift does elevator in this way. Parkerlift is able to do research, is able to select the right product and price, is able to purchase. But as we say, this cycle continues seamlessly because after the purchase, they can monitor the installation, the commissioning of the elevator, they use it daily, they can maintain it and keep it operable, and that leads to recommendation. And at the end of the day, that will, of course, lead to natural selection of Chicago Waterfront Hotel for Parkerlift services, because customer loyalty is based on the amount of problems that the companies are solving for you. So now every purchase is moving to a more omni-comprehensive. There are ecosystems about that. Like when you buy an iPhone or a Google product, then they try to solve problem for you, and in that case makes you dependent on that. And that is a way to do the same for your customer. You got loyalty if you provide value for the customer. And about value, I leave the word to Per.
Thank you, Mauro. That's so we've seen now how the customer journey travels in this configure to order driven and data driven product selection and product definition and order fulfillment phase. But what kind of business outcomes does this mean in monetary terms? What is the value for in this case parker lifts? Well, first of all, you have an easy and error-free configuration, which means that the configuration is easy enough for even end customer to be able to define quite complex industrial equipment based on the customer needs rather than technical configuration. And that configuration will be error-free. It will be validated all through, making sure that the order fulfillment is being managed all through downstream. So that means that you can actually sell the full portfolio in all channels like this. So instead of having restrict your complex products to direct sales or maybe partner sales, you can now leverage those your self-service customer channel investments by selling the full assortment in all channels. That of course also means that you are allowing the customers to select the best engagement channel for them. These engagement channels or sales channels, they have different pros and cons, but with a full portfolio available in the mall, you can actually hand over that decision to the customer and let the customer decide which is best for them, as we saw there in the channel selection box that Mauro showed. You also, of course, accelerate sales velocity and decrease the sales cost with less back office dependencies. Instead of having every inquiry requiring a sales engineer, the sales rep in the front end and even the customer themselves can now respond and get answers to those inquiries, even the complex inquiries, at the fingertips in the sales tools that they're using. Of course, sales engineers could be there, available, but the number of inquiries that requires that back office will dramatically increase once you move over to this from ETO to a more configure to order workflow. You also decrease time to volume of new product and you speed up the product innovation. So again, to the left here, the sales rep is not selecting the products or the parts that you sell. He or she selects the customer needs, and the configurator then decides which technical solution is best for those needs. Thereby, you on a global level can govern the way in which new product and features and options are actually enabled and end up in the quote that your sales force is putting out. That also means that the less dependencies for the sales engineer, that sales engineers can actually move from your sales department to your R&D department, thereby speeding up that product innovation that is so essential on a global market today, as we all know. You also decrease cost for introducing new product features. We've seen that the same product definition, the single source of truth, we are able to actually release that into all sales channel at the same time. It's the same model that you make available in all the channels. And this, of course, decreases the maintenance cost in terms of product definitions, but also decreases the release cost of new products. And you can actually speed up the iteration by which those new product features are introduced without having a higher cost. As we seen also, you increase the win rates by reaching customer early in the buying journey. So many things are being defined early in the needs and research phase of a buying journey. And most of the time, many suppliers actually come into the RFQ phase when it's too late to actually influence the buying criteria. With anonymous configuration, where you don't need to reach out to a sales rep, you actually influence the ways in which the buying criteria is pronounced and the RFQ content to your advantage, thereby influencing and thereby also increasing the win rates for those quotes. And of course, you monetize the customer all through this life cycle. The monetization doesn't stop with the buying, it continues with upselling and reselling through the ownership phase as well. But you shouldn't take this from us. I really encourage you to read what the analysts say about CPQ and the business value of CPQ. Accenture has created a year ago a report on how what impact a CPQ can have, not only in terms of profitability, but also in terms of engine of growth. And I really encourage you to read this report. It's free available there, and you see the link at the bottom there. And then, Mauro, what's the customer portal business values?
Yeah, the customer portal, especially if completed with that part of the customer journey, of the customer lifecycle, of course, include a reduction of sales costs. because the cost per transaction is lower for lack of errors and speed and 24/7 service and so on, is a reduction of working capital. It means that you can use the data, and you can use the fastest project to optimize all your operational costs for like stock levels or engineering production. I mean, it will become very much easier to keep track of the sales and optimize the engineering part due to the current or prospective demand. As Per was saying, the sales team effort will be optimized. That means that all those trivial tasks or asking a new version of the offer because they want the carpet red and not the plum will go away. So your sales team will be able to focus on pursuing and find prospecting new customers or follow close the more the one that generate more income and provide more tailored solution rather than following up on many values with low value, offers with low value. And in general, improve an overall efficiency, automating everything that does not add any value for people to be done, getting documents or inquiries about status updates or all those things that can drag organization down quite a lot. Very nice, very theoretical, but when this happened? Well, my preferred case in this case is Atlas Copco. It's a customer here in Sweden. They have a portal offering all their services and detailed product information, and they decided to integrate the Tacton CPQ service cycle into this customer portal experience, as we've seen in this way. And this automated or more efficient selection allows us also to roll out the solution in many different countries and markets. I'm very happy because there are a lot of questions. I'll try to get, sorry if we didn't reply straight away. There is one question regarding what do you mean by quotes, as in quotes does not become orders. Per, I think it refers to your slide, one of your slides beginning.
Yeah, if you have quotes not becoming orders are basically lost quotes. And that is particularly painful if your sales cost for producing those quotes are high. That will lose a lot of revenue for you.
Okay, then there is a question from Marco. Is this the part of the standard by the sales rep? That depends when the question has come. But we have seen basically the sales rep as the same tools that the customer that we have shown. So Patrick can do exactly the same choice that Lisa can do and more. So he has available more information to do that. So regardless of the sales channel, the quote comes in, the self-service channel, the customer portal, or big customer sending a fax to Patrick, he has the same options. And that is really great because this tool makes more consistent offering through any channels. The sales rep, direct sales, self-service, and even partner sales, they all have the same rules, the same price, the same aspects, they produce the same documentation, and that's great for the customers that can also jump from one channel to the other at any time. Does the configurator create a custom product in ICM, or will take the complete boom as separate products? Of course, it depends case by case, but by definition, in the normal context where we work, this product with high variability doesn't have a specific SKU. Maybe they will end up in a specific serial number, but they're not registered as a product because every sale will be different. but that's completely depending on the use case, and there is no difference in one of the two approaches. The normal one anyhow is to manage the boom, but the customer cannot pick and block the boom, of course. So if I define an elevator that consists of these parts, I cannot arbitrarily take one part away from the basket, right? This is part of the negotiation with the sales rep. Is the Tacton product integrated in a customer experience center as well, or is it a standalone product? How does it compare to the features or set of customer experience center? So, customer experience center is a module for sales rep to sell by the phone. It's a product that we provide as Intershop, and it is fully based, and I think it's also related to the next question, that is which version of Intershop was used in that. Version 7.10, that is the last version that we offer, include a set of APIs. And Tacton provides the self-service functionality also as API. So at the moment, the configuration part is not integrated into the customer experience center, because the usual environment for that kind of sales is Tacton CPQ. So if you have the sales rep that is able to build a machine, is usually not the same person that rings at the phone and say, do you want buy accessories or renew our services with that? But being an API environment, that's completely free and open, and Tacton provides all the rules and controls for make the configuration working. So that front end can be the shop, but can even be the experience center. It depends. I really encourage you to contact me later on, because I see you have a lot of questions, and we can look in the detail what is relevant for you. Does Tacton offer the Intershop extension as a product or service? What are the requirements? As I said, this is not a special module. Tacton, or all that you have seen in this demo from the Tacton side, is provided with the standard engine APIs. We integrated that into our PWA, or our headless front end, and there is no special condition or different version. Market-wise, I think the APIs from Tacton have a different, the offer of Tacton is modularized, so you may need to purchase the self-service API. Am I correct, Per?
Yes.
But also that depends, in general rule, that is it, but depends on the application. But it's not special products anyhow. It's just a licensing matter. And then, is it possible to skip the quoting part and integrate direct sales? Per, you want to bet, because you bet someone will ask this. So basically the request is that if we skip the quote, and if it's possible to purchase straight away the product of the configuration. And the answer is yes. The good approach is that the configuration model needs to contain the information whether this product is purchasable or not. So we have other cases where, for instance, the configuration is a very high variability, but those option does not complicate the way the product is purchased. So the options that are available are always purchasable straight away. So in that case, you can have a configuration model or a set of rules into Tacton that says, okay, so far what you have, you can buy straight away. And in that, Intershop can read that and allow the purchase flow straight away. But maybe if you request a special material or you request a special elaboration, then in that case we say, yes, we can do what you're requesting, but we cannot allow you to buy it right away. You need to take this with the sales rep. But in that case, I mean, there is a bit of a friction, but then the sales rep can pick up with exactly the right context, all the information that he needs to provide this price. So, very long answer to the question is yes, of course. You can use Tacton as a guided selling and enable the direct purchase if your products allow it.
I guess that very much depends on the kind of product. If it's a complex one, like an elevator, maybe you would like to have the contracts and terms and so forth in place. But if it's a smaller, still configurable product, maybe then you want to go to the checkout directly in Intershop.
And then it's a question, is Intershop some kind of plugin in the CPQ environment of Tacton, how they communicate that I mentioned before? So we have a front-end application that use APIs to manage the commerce, but that very same application can call CPQ APIs for showing the visualization. So they integrate, the two platforms are independent. But if you want to realize the journey that we have shown, the common front-end application for the customers can call both Intershop and Tacton via API and provide this experience. The customer does not need two logins because usually the customers are stored into the CRM or in the ERP or any other master data. So the same customer information are available to all the platforms. Also, do not be confused with the login part because we have seen two applications, but Lisa is only connecting to the website. So Lisa doesn't have an account on Tacton. She sees everything in the same application. And Patrick usually works only on Tacton CPQ. So there is no double login. In any case, both our products have single sign-on. So even if it should be needed, then there is not a problem to avoid double managing of credentials. Then we have another question. When you have multiple sub-dealers, do we have multiple price lists? Can they select between sub-dealers? That's a complicated scenario, but is perfectly available, provided by the platform. So the price rules are very specific and are implemented project by project. And the Intershop platform allows you to manage the dealers in many different ways. So you can have select the dealer when Lisa is browsing, but you can even have a white label shops for the specific dealers. So Parker Lifts can even provide, I don't know, Chicago Elevators with their own website with the same function, the same CPQ connection. So all the price rules are very flexible, and you can have how many price lists you have. Specifically on your needs, this is a bit complicated to answer like this, and I would like to, both me and Per would like to talk with you, if possible, and see what's interesting for your case. Last but not least, we are dragging a little out, but we're very happy that there are questions. Our product requires a configurator that is based upon product existing in Intershop. Create your own sprinkler system selecting a pump-up sprainers. Okay, so where the product lives, and that also it's not a problem. Neither Intershop and nor CPQ are PIM or master data for product information. So in this ecosystem, it's perfectly possible that you have some components that you can both purchase by themselves and are part of a boom of a configurable product or a quote. That is because the same product information are stored into the source of the product information, like the PIN or the ERP or whatever you have, and they are sent in, let's say, read-only to CPQ and Intershop. So again, through the modern API system, queue and messaging, dispatching, all the technologies behind that, you can have a seamless integration and send the same SKUs to both, and there won't be any confusion on having those parts. At the same time, there is no need in Intershop to have all parts that are into the boom of CPQ. So if the boom of an elevator contains screws and parts that you never sell by themselves, there is no need to have them into the self-service channel. You can only purchase them through the purchase of a configured product. There's no problem in that.
Just to add to that, of course, if a module or component or part is required in a configured product, that needs to be maintained in Tacton. The configuration needs to understand or needs to know which parts they can select for a particular configuration. However, of course, you could sell them also as spare parts, and then they could live in Intershop, a product catalog, I would assume. By the way, Tacton also has a lightweight product catalog for non-configurable items as well. So that's another option to consider when you define where to maintain your master data.
Okay, that was the last question. I'm very, very grateful to you all for staying a bit extra time and for being so many interested into the topic. Both me and Per are available. You can reach out to us or to anyone in our organization to have more info, to discuss how to apply those things more in detail for you. We are very, very happy, and we hope that regardless of the products, you have been inspired to see what actually the user journey for new customers can be. So I thank you a lot. I hope to see you and even more to the next issue of the webinar we are attending, trying to catch all the B2B, the main themes for the B2B online sales. And yes, thanks a lot and have a very nice evening.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.